Welcome to the Dr. Hutch Show. Plan for impact. I'm Dr. J.L. Hutchinson Jr., and I thank you for joining us this evening on 1220 Beyond the Word.
And I'm Evangelist Elaine P. Jones, co-host. Today we'll be discussing the topic, Making a List of Priorities, Step 5.
Yes, making a list of your priorities basically is step 5 of my 7 steps to change your life. Last week we talked about building a team for success. How would you think about that, Evangelist Elaine?
Last week discussing that topic about building a team was so important because even when God gives us an assignment, it does not mean that we don't need help.
Yes, we most definitely need help. And today we're going to talk about some things. We'll go through some things. Sometimes we get to a point where we don't realize what we're doing. Because sometimes unconsciously we just do things because they are either routine or they're learned behavior. Well, I'm going to talk to you today how to control that learned behavior with a spiritual element and understanding that God has a plan. And making a list of priorities is things that you like to do. Also, things that God would like for you to do for Him. That is making a list of your priorities, because we have our life is laid out every day. We wake up in the morning. Some people wake up and they brush their teeth. Some people wake up and they brush their teeth after they have breakfast and tea. And then some people just don't brush their teeth at all. So we need to do things that are important to our future. The reason you brush your teeth is because you find yourself, you will be talking to someone and kissing your loved ones, and you don't want to be known for having bad breath. You want to be able to have good teeth. You want to have a healthy presence. So what is important to you may not be important to someone else, but we all have a priority list.
That's true.
But the question is, what priority list are we reading from? Are we reading from God's priority list? Or are we reading just from ours? What's important? Are we so selfish that we do not want to explore or even try to understand the priorities that God has for us in our life?
That's the key word too, Dr. Hutch. Selfish.
Selfishness is a sin. And we all have that sin. Some are better at handling it and controlling it than others. But we all have that.
An element of selfishness, sure.
Things that's important for us.
Right.
I always like to start things off with a story. And the story is that a long time ago, I, as a young man, was selfish. I didn't want to share things with people, especially my candy. When I was a young boy, I did not want to share my candy with anyone. I would hide it. And then as time passed and I got older, I started to hold on to things and not share things that was other than candy, things that was important to me. And I found myself years later in my early 20s as a selfish individual. Being selfish causes you to think you have priorities, but they're not the priorities of God. I didn't search out to seek what God wanted for my life. I learned things. I grew with skills and knowledge and all those different things. But things happened. I had problems. I had issues. And I began to have habits. So in breaking habits, and we know habits is a hard thing to break. And you have some habits too, don't you? But you have broke some.
Right.
Yeah. So it takes a certain type of thing to help you, and that's called skills. Let me define skills for you. An ability and capacity acquired through deliberate, systematic, and sustained effort to smoothly carry out activities. Basically, training and experience. It's a balance where if you have skills, you have an ability to do something, and as you acquire that, you deliberately know how to systematically do things. If you go on the computer, you know how to design websites, you know how to do emails. A lot of people, when they first got their phone, I know Trayvon and Tyrese got their phone, that's Xbox and MP3, they got their phones and they text messaging. At first, they didn't even know how to even use it. And then after a while, they just...
A short while.
Deliberately, systematically found a way of how they can utilize the system based on the basics. And they probably can do tricks and send short messages and all that different stuff now versus what they did when they first got the phone. So they developed the skill, and we all develop a skill, and we have an ability and the capacity to acquire, to deliberately do things. And that's what you have to realize, that the reason you go to school, the reason you learn a skill, the reason you learn a trade is to do that. Right. But there's another thing, it's called knowledge. Let me give you a definition of knowledge. Knowledge is this: a state or fact of knowing, understanding, gained through experience or study. So you can gain knowledge through experience or studying. Specific information about something. Studying the Bible is so important to Christians. Some people look at the book of Revelations as the most difficult book in the Bible. Some people look at it as the most easiest book in the Bible. Some people specialize in different things in the Bible. But we as individuals, we have certain knowledge of certain things. You work on a job, you know how to do certain things. You know how to write, press releases. You know how to design articles and all that different stuff. Some people gain those skills. They use it is a balance between skills and knowledge and experience. So knowledge is something that you can study and gain. Experience also at the same time, knowing how to do something. Combining those things together, that is what is needed for God's ministry. And knowing God's purpose in your life, God puts people in certain things in their life, and they go through certain experiences, and God uses that for His purpose. Right. Some people may go through an experience of alcoholism, sexism, whatever the issue may be, and God uses them to help someone who has that issue. Like starting a business, God may have you go through some things, some failed businesses, some success or whatever, so that you can be able to use your knowledge and your skills to help someone else to fulfill his need, his priority, because he may have somebody that he has planned to do something in the future, maybe 10, 15 years from now, and you work with them, help them, and next thing you know, you're actually fulfilling a priority that God has for them in their life. So they take that mentorship, that skill, that talent, and all that stuff that they have, and they use it for the purpose of God. And that is what's important, because we are required as Christians to seek God's. Right. And when we seek God, we seek God's will. And God's will is basically His priority for us in our life. And that is based on your experience. Everybody has the experience. The thing that have happened to you becomes part of you.
That's true.
Facing yourself and the truth is not easy. And we all experience some hurts.
That's true.
The hurt, the pain, the thing that was bad for you can make you better. Listen to this. God gives gifts.
That's true.
The world gives gifts. We all have an idea of a gift. And when we get a gift, we like to see the gift nicely wrapped and presented pretty and everything. But God gives us gifts that is not like that. It could be all, the wrapping paper could be all ragged and not with a nice bow. It could be just a knot in a string. And we expect certain things to be presented a certain way.
That's true.
But with God gives us a gift that could be looked at as a problem.
That's so true.
But when we start to unwrap it, we find out that gift keeps on giving. And that gift that he gives us through our trials and tribulations, our struggles, our issues that we have, God turns around and takes our experience and the experiences that we go through, the hurts that we find ourselves in, God turns around and give us a direction. Through that gift, through that problem, through that issue that we may have had. Me being a young teenage father, he gave me some issues that I had, and he turned my direction. I went a different way. My life was changed. Sometimes you can end up going into a different, in a direction that you should not go. You see anybody, have you ever seen or experienced or heard someone went down a one-way street?
Yes.
And it's scary. Have you ever done it?
Yes.
And
I have done that.
And you have done it. And what you were doing, you were going toward everybody else that was going a different way than you.
Right.
My question to you, were you right by going that way?
No.
Who told you were going the wrong way?
Well, just by seeing the traffic approaching
seeing
me.
The traffic. Folks, just the opposite in God's world. People may be coming towards you. You think that you're going the wrong way, but you're going the right way. Because if you're following God and everybody else is going, the world is going the opposite way, you should not turn around because your direction is correct. I was going down the street. I was in I was in Escondido, California, and I was driving to the courthouse, and I ended up going the wrong way. I was going the wrong way on a fast street. And as I was going, everybody was coming my way. And I was ducking and going, and there was no way to turn off. It was no way to go right or left. And there was just a sidewalk, and everybody was blowing their horn and yelling and calling me all these beautiful names, and I was like, ah! And I was in fear because my life and other people's lives were being threatened.
That's true.
Folks, we find ourselves in that situation every day. When we wake up in the morning, we are making decisions. Sometimes we can go the wrong way, and we don't realize we're going the wrong way until fear overtakes us. Fear changes a person's direction and their perspective and their focus. See, sometimes God gets our attention too when we're going the wrong way. And when God gets our attention and we're going the wrong way, and that gift that he gave us, he wants us to cherish that gift, focus on the purpose of that gift.
That's right.
And that's why us as Christian brothers and sisters, God gives us spiritual gifts, gifts of discernment to let you know you're going the wrong way. He gives us a sign. That's why when you see, you're going the wrong way, when the one-way sign says one way, going the opposite way. And everybody's blowing and trying to get your attention. Your mother, your father, throughout your life, I can see people that were trying to get my attention. Hey, get a condom. Hey, do this. Hey, what's a condom? I don't care. I don't think about that. I don't want to think about that stuff. Hey, I'll get it one day. And then next thing you know, I 19 with 2 kids. And then you got the 2 kids, and you're 19 years old, and you were going the wrong way, and everybody was blowing their horn, and you wasn't paying attention. We're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to ask, who do you think you are by going the wrong way? And when other people are telling you to turn around. This is Dr. Hutch, and we'll be right back. Hutch Show, and I'd like to thank you for listening to my show, but I would like to tell you about my 7 Steps to Change Your Life, a program that I put together to impact your life and impact other people's lives. Elaine, could you tell them how they could sign up for that?
Sure. 7 Steps to Change Your Life is an in-depth continuation of Dr. Hutchinson's training on Raw, which in fact takes you through each step of the training and really encourages you to get raw in regards to your business and personal life while achieving the goals you have made for yourself and your business. For more information, contact Dr. Hutch International at 216-264-6214 or email Elaine at drhutchinternational.com. Join Dr. Hutch today. Dr. Hutch is committed to assisting entrepreneurs and business owners in developing their business to perform on the next level. If you are a corporation, school, church, or nonprofit organization that would like Dr. Hutch to take your company one step closer to success and impact the lives of your employees and you, please contact us at 216-264-6214 or visit thedrhutchshow.com. That's THEDRHUTCHSHOW.com.
Welcome back to the Dr. Hutch Show. I'm Dr. J.L. Hutchinson Jr. And we were talking about gifts, knowledge, direction, and what is needed in your experience to follow the directions of the Lord when it comes to making a list of your priorities. And the priority list is your list versus God's list. And we were talking about going the wrong direction, and we were saying, who do you think you are? The question is one of those questions that we try to avoid, but we have our moments. Every day, we redefine our existence. If you haven't thought about that, we do redefine our existence. Who are we? Every day. Who are we? When I was growing up, I was the little poor kid in Cleveland trying to make a name for myself in the future. Wanted to be better than my father, better than the people that I knew that was in my family, so that we can have a history of some success. You know, I didn't know too much about my grandfather. I'd heard he had died in 1974 in a car accident. I knew he was drinking and all that stuff. I said, well, Lord, I don't want to get into a situation where I'm drinking, because, you know, those curses and those spirits pass down generations. That's so we want to break the curse. And we kept having kids. My brothers and I we were teenagers. My mom was a teenager. My father was a teenager. My father was 19 when he had me. My mother was 16. You know, and it's like, you know, then my kids, I was like, oh God, I hope my kids don't become teen parents, you know, so thank God for that. You know, I had one that actually turned 20 that actually ended up having a young child. Folks, who we think we are is sometimes an illusion to us. Sometimes you may think that you're ugly. You may think that you're don't have the smarts like everybody else. You may think that you don't have what it takes to make it in life, and you're lying to yourself. The reason you're lying to yourself is because you're looking on the wrong priority list.
That's true.
The priority list, God made us for a reason, a purpose. So we all have talents, but we as believers have spiritual gifts, and we have to understand that God has a plan for everyone.
He sure does.
I don't care how crazy you are, how cross-eyed you are, how big your ears is, how big your nose is, or whatever. You know, if you got 1 arm, 2 arms, 3 arms, or whatever. You got 3 arms, I don't know about that. But maybe you can get a lot of things done with that extra arm. But God has a plan for you.
He does.
And that is so
right.
true. We seen a young man on TV. He didn't even have any arms.
That's true.
And he didn't have any arms, and he was driving a car.
Mm-hmm.
He was driving the car with his feet. Mm-hmm. Young African-American male. And he was a designer. He would design cars. Mm-hmm. He could design cars because he learned with his mind. Mm-hmm. God had a purpose for his life. When his parents said, when he first came out, they looked at him and they said, the doctor said, I'm sorry, but your son, I don't know if you want to do anything. He doesn't have any arms. Mm-hmm. You know, we can send him to a home. We can do this. We can do that. Mm-hmm. And they said, no, we want to love him. And they took him home and they worked with him and things like getting things out of the refrigerator and washing his feet and even eating. He would, how could he eat with no arms? Mm-hmm. He had no arms to eat.
That's a scary thing.
And yeah, it's a scary thing. And it's also parents, they have priorities. They have a purpose. They have some things.
That's
but
so
their
true.
priority on God's list was to raise that son.
To raise him. And they could have gotten afraid, gave up that child, and not known how great he would have wound up being. Because that young man wound up driving cars, doing all the things that we do, eating on his own, feeding himself, designing cars. Those gifts and talents nobody could have brought out of him except the parents that God gave him to.
And that leads me to this. Can you see yourself? What you see matters, but what God sees really matters.
It's even better.
He wants the best for you no matter what you think of yourself.
That's so true.
He wants the best. You may even be today so depressed and thinking about committing suicide. I don't know what it is, but God has just put that on my heart. Somebody's out there that's listening to this is thinking about or contemplating suicide, wanting to take their own life. But God is saying, stop right now, because he made you for a reason. Mm-hmm. And it matters. Right. Because God really has a plan and a purpose for you. Mm-hmm. Think about this. You. Y-O-U. You overcoming your uniqueness. You are uniquely designed. There's nobody like you. Mm-hmm. You know, there's nobody, because we are so different. There's no snowflake the same. All of them are different. Our fingerprints are all different. Even twins is all different. We are unique. And that's what you are. You overcoming your uniqueness, whatever that challenge may be. You may have a big nose. I used to be, when I was a kid, I was so afraid that my nose was going to get bigger. I was afraid that my lips were going to get bigger. I was so afraid that I was going to look like Jimmy Walker on Good Times. Serious. Back then, that was the biggest fear that I had. I said, well, I even looked into cosmetic surgery, and I found out you need money to get that stuff done. So that wasn't going to happen, because, you know, I could barely afford a hat back then. So to even look different. So getting cosmetic surgery was not going to be anything that I could have got done. But I had to embrace what God had gave me. Mm-hmm.
Isn't it something, though, how all of us can find something about ourselves to be so ungrateful about. But when we learn to overcome these little foolish things that really don't even matter, then we're much more happy and much more able to focus on the things that God really has in store for us. Dr. Hutch, whether you had a big nose or a little nose had nothing to do with you. Growing and having the experiences that you have with God and impacting other people's lives, you've done that with the same nose.
Yeah, but then just realized the problem I had was I had acne. I looked like a nutty buddy. I had bumps on my face.
But here you are, and none of that has stopped you from becoming the man God wanted you to be. Sometimes we focus on the wrong things. And sure, those things are important, especially when you're a teenager. One of the most important things are how you look and how your friends think you look.
All right. But I understand that too. But there's a loyalty to God's list. A loyalty to his priority. A loyalty. But there's an outlet. There's an outlet. Things we enjoy, God gives us. I like ice cream. I used to like peanut butter. I used to like jelly. But now I found the new thing. A great thing. I like Tootsie Rolls. I'm here to announce I really endorse Tootsie Rolls. I love Tootsie Rolls. And I enjoy certain things, and we all enjoy certain things.
That's true.
And we have an outlet. I like to shoot pool now and throw darts. I have an outlet. Watch YouTube, things for my mind. But now, for the people that's out there, I want you, Evangelist Elaine, in the next 3 minutes, just give us a heart-to-heart moment.
Sure. The scripture I want to share today comes from Luke, the 14th chapter and the 28th verse. And this is from the New Living Translation. And it says, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Will he not first sit down and estimate the cost to see if he has enough money to complete it?" Verse 29. "For if he lays the foundation and is not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule him." Verse 30. "Saying this fellow began to build and was not able to finish." The thing I want to focus on is building something and having what it takes to get it done. Of course, if we're going to build anything, we do need to recognize, like we talked about last week, Dr. Hutch, that we need to build a team. I don't care if it's a small team or a big team, but we are no lone rangers here on this earth. God designed us that we are going to need somebody else at some point to help us out. So why not go ahead and do things the way God has designed it? God's priority list consists of us learning how to get along with others, learning how to recognize others' gifts and talents, and working together as a team. Working to get the plan of God done here in the earth. And all of that has to become our priority, because if it doesn't, we'll push it further and further behind, and then find ourselves saying, I should have, I could have, and I would have. So I think this is very important today, Dr. Hutch, that we make a list of our priorities and that we recognize what our priorities are.
Okay. And then when we realize that what God has for us and the things that he has said to us, because through prayer, don't forget prayer is very important in order for you to know your priorities. That's where the loyalty comes in. That's where the outlet is. Praying and asking God for what it is that he wants us to do. And what we have done today is told you, making a list of your priorities is a very important thing. And we thank everybody for joining us and for listening to us on the Dr. Hutch Show on 1220 Beyond the Word. Thank you and have a good night.